grateful for him when he can join us. And here at the True Leadership Show, we sit back and we enjoy some time talking about all things leadership, leadership in life, life and leadership, whether it be in management or, running things on your own as an entrepreneur, even a solopreneur. I get times where I'll be talking about leadership and I'll be, well, I'm a solopreneur. I don't lead anybody. I don't have teams. Like, what about your customers, clients, or patients? Oh, what about at home? Oh, what about a church? Oh, or other organizations you're a part of? Oh, yeah, there's so much to leadership and there's so much to gain, so much experience out there, so many books you can read and magazine articles, videos you can watch, so many things. And that leads me to today's topic. Leaders are learners. Now, what can that mean? Well, just kind of like typing in leadership into a Google search, type learning into Google. You get a lot of stuff. And there's a lot out there. Now, of course, even including this show, where we do talk about these things. The thing about leaders as learners is don't always get so hung up on, well, what do I learn? What do I do? I go to college? Do I start a business? Do I talk to mom and dad? Do I talk to other people, other friends? Do I read different books? Do I read magazines? Do I pull up podcasts or YouTube videos? You want the honest answer? All the above. All the above. Now, the fun part about leaders and learners, and this actually came to me a long time ago. I say a long time ago for me, when I was having a conversation with a pastor friend of mine who was trying to get me to go back to school. Now, I was on the fire department at this point, always training and learning on my craft of being a fireman and working with others, being a leader there. And she wanted to prove to me, because I told her, so I'm not a good test taker. I hate taking tests. And quite honestly, I was so, we'll call it lazy back then, that I always joked with people that part of the reason why I didn't like going back to school is I didn't like reading. Now, next week, we're actually going to be talking about leaders or readers. There's a little bit more than just reading a book to that. Little hint for next week. However, I always told everybody, I'm so lazy that I'm glad that here in America, a stop sign is octagonal and red with 4 white letters on it, because I know to stop, because I don't even like reading stop on the stop sign. That's how much I didn't like to read. Now, what that was translating to, though, was my unwillingness to want to learn outside of what I was already doing and to continually grow myself beyond what I was doing. And so when I look at this and I look back on my life, I realize that the times that I was developing the most as a leader was when I was learning. And it's not just the learning. So many people say knowledge is power. Knowledge is only power if you know how to use it and use it correctly. And that's by applying what you've learned. And so, Jim, are you frozen? Are you here? Looking at the video here, it looks like, Jim, it looks like you're frozen, brother. So hopefully Jim will be able to jump in, or hopefully it's not on my, I show everything on my end. So Jim, if you can still hear me, man, you might have to log out and log back in. But the thing is being a learner, and this was her entire premise or platform for this, was she said to me, I'll never forget this, because it set the stage for God saying, I want you to learn more. I want you to grow more. I want you to grow beyond what you're doing. And so, yep, he's going to have to re-log in. So no big deal. We'll keep going. She said, Chris, if I could be a lifelong learner and stay in school or be learning somehow the rest of my life, I would be. Basically said, if I could get paid to just learn the rest of my life, I would. She was a constant, and still is a constant learner, constantly honing the crafts that she does, constantly studying the Word of God. The Bible, there he is. He's coming back. The Bible even is, we know, active and breathing and alive. And so we continually learn from God what he wants us to do. And so as we develop with other people, we do these different things, we get to learn from one another. Jim and I learn from each other all the time. Mike too, when he's here. And it's not just on here, by the way. We call each other, we ask each other's opinions. And so Jim, to you, the importance of being a lifelong learner, that's where I went when you went off screen, was this being a lifelong learner. And I'll sum up real quick here so he can catch back up. That friend of mine that got me to go back to school, and there were several others, but she really was the real big initiator here, was, essentially she was saying she could get paid to learn the rest of her life. Like basically said she could be paid to go to college and learn whatever she wanted, she would have. And so what does it mean to you, especially as a leader, especially as someone who sets the example, because that's what leaders do? Why is it so important to you to be a lifelong learner?
Well, I think first off, we never stop learning, and there's always something to learn, and we never know everything. And so, unless we've arrived in that regard, then it's kind of interesting because I also believe if you're not growing, you're dying. So, hopefully, we're always growing, we're always learning, and what it means to me is that you're able to really maximize your potential in life. That's what it personally means to me because you're always becoming better at whatever you're doing. We're doing, it's kind of interesting. I have this discussion. We put on entertainment events. I'm going to call them now because karaoke is a big facet. We're doing premium karaoke. We are doing showcasing. So it's beyond regular karaoke. We define premium karaoke as not karaoke just for the singers, but also for the listeners. I think we get that, hopefully. And if you're a higher end place, wineries, they don't necessarily have a lot of singers, but they do have a lot of listeners. Okay, so that's why we can get into the higher echelon places. But one of the things of what I really want to uh, to say is that even through all this, I get a chance to look at 8 different places all the time, and so I'm always learning about how they do things. And I think as I'm working with these different locations, I'm learning what they do and don't do. And we had one place that we went into. I can tell you something very simple that can change the demographic and also increase the flow of people there. Very simple. My friend came in. I did not know he's a business partner. That not Larry is another person, Basil. He runs our comedy division.
Oh,
He
cool.
he mentioned to hey, thanks for greeting us. You're really great. You really set the tone for the place. And he explained to me later when we had to talk about that how that is so important. And it made me understand. I go into Staples. I don't know if it's a regular corporate thing. The one that I go into, the guy goes out and goes, hey, Jim. Hey, not Jim, but hey, you. Hey, I just want to welcome you to Staples. First time I thought it was a little odd. I think I shared it, but then I saw it was consistent. But it did make me feel really welcome. That's something I learned is, wow, we can really welcome people. So therefore, when karaoke people come, we say that, hey, we just want to take a moment. So and so just came. So and so just came. And I believe that makes us better than what we were yesterday just by learning. So we become better. We're able to maximize our potential because we're always learning and becoming better at whatever we do or choose to be.
Yeah, I love that. And what else I love about the maximizing your potential is, sometimes it is, picking up on some things that we can improve upon. You guys are already doing amazing events, extravagant events, and in these amazing facilities. I've seen different videos and things. Jim and I don't live in the same area. One of these days, I will get out there and come check it out with him and hang out with him. I promise him that. Here's the thing. You think something as simple as a greeting, but how many places do we go where they don't do things like, and should be? You think they would be like, there's some places you walk into, like you just feel that welcoming vibe. And now they're adding this. Now I'm sure they were already, hey everybody, how's it going? Now they've created a new intention to it. And Jim said it. We've learned this. It was something we learned to do. And it's sometimes it's even the simplest of things. It doesn't always have to be complicated. Leadership doesn't have to be complicated, by the way. We overcomplicate things all the time. Yes, there are struggles. Yes, there are challenges. But as we learn, as we grow, like Jim said, if you're not growing, you're probably dying. If we don't learn as we go, we don't apply these things we learn, what good are we doing? Now look at how much more they just up leveled their event. How many more people now are going to say, hey, when you go see this karaoke showcase, or you just said comedy, or go to their events, more people are going to show up. Why? Because they obviously learned something. Let's even take it a step further. Let's make it a little more complicated. Let's say there's new equipment out there. Now, it may not be necessarily Jim's job to run the equipment, okay? However, he's going to learn something about it or know something about it, so that way when someone who is running it comes in or new people come along, he at least knows enough to say, hey, this is new equipment. Believe it or not, this gets missed all the time. Someone comes to him. He's the leader. He's the MC. He's the one everybody's coming to when they come in, or he's the first one there. He's like, hey, just so you guys know, we've got new equipment. You need to go learn it because there's this new function that actually makes things better. And you'll have people out there look at, nah, it's the same thing as what we had before. I'm good. There's that one button that makes a difference. Now let's take this into an office setting or industrial setting. And there are those things that the leaders know are new, or there's new people. Okay, because I'm going to shift gears here a little bit. That was more of a thing we can do. Now let's look at people and learning people, having the people skills, learning the people that are there with us and the things that they do with us. Remember, this is coming from a servant's heart. How can we serve better? Get to know one another. We talk about this all the time on the show. Jim, are you with us? I think you might have frozen again. Nope, he's back up. Now, we got double vision. You know that song. That's a karaoke song, Double Vision. Foreigner. Anyways, so, but here's the thing, is so many times we miss the mark that we're not willing to learn. So many times I've seen promotions happen, or someone gets moved into a new division of a company, and they don't do anything to learn the area. They don't learn the people. They don't learn the processes. It's just we'll get it done because I said so, because I'm the boss. I say this all the time. Why? Because it happens all the time. We're not willing to learn. So Jim, how much more can we increase the potential of not just learning these little things that we pick up on or see, but being able to learn about people, learning the people that are with us, the people that are around us, learning our audiences. I mean, we'll stick with the entertainment industry here, learning our audiences and what they want. Why is that so important? And how do we make this a better facilitation of our resources to learn?
Well, I think when you include people, I always believe in creating community. So everyone has a say. Not everyone's right. Not everyone's thing's going to be deployed, but you're listening to everything that people have to say. And I think it's really important. You said we're staying in the whole genre of entertainment, excuse me. And so, like, even today, somebody was saying we kind of know it, but if we incorporate a space where people can dance, hey, no, don't just make it karaoke, make it karaoke and dancing. And my immediate response, first off, was, well, I do know it's a good idea. People like to get up and do something here, but I don't want to give people a false impression. It's not a full-fledged dance. So the important thing is I could shut it down just on that, but learn what is being said there. And the idea is to incorporate activity where people can get, because there's a lot of people just like to get up periodically to dance, just to kind of move around and stuff. So by learning that, we again maximize potential. Why? More people will come. The people that are singing are going to sing anyway. It might even give them a better audience, arguably, because it will be bigger and people are going to look like they enjoy it more because they're more on the floor. And we always have people jump up and stuff, anyways. But really, as a dance, to really promote it that way, that was something I had to learn, and that's what you're going to see us implement. And I'll get back with you in terms of results. But you're able to start incorporating ideas, because I'm going to reach more people than I thought I'd reach. Why? Because I'm incorporating the feedback of people that are giving me a perspective of what it would take to get them and their friends to come. If I listen, more likely they will come. I can't guarantee it, but it will grow. I believe it will. Than if I just shut it down and did not learn. So I need to continually learn about these things. And in life, when we're continually learning about how to improve ourselves, how to connect with people, whatever our target audience needs, I mean, that is the key anyway for growth anyway. Again, hence maximizing opportunity.
Yeah, and again, sticking with that theme of the maximizing opportunity, something I was thinking of earlier was when I went back to school and started more of a formal education, formal learning, I started to notice that my conversations began to change. It wasn't necessarily people that changed. I mean, although some of that changed as well. Of course, in college setting, you got different classrooms and different people in different classrooms, things like that. But even the conversations I was having in my everyday life with other people, just how much more intrigued I was in what other people were saying, because I wanted to learn more. I started to become that information sponge. It's like, oh, I just realized I can learn. I mean, for some reason, I had shut myself down from learning on multiple aspects. That doesn't mean I know it all. Jim and I were joking before we started the show about, why do I have to learn if I know it all? And if you're that leader, oh, you're not a leader. Stop it. Stop it. There's always innovation out there. We even talked about it 2 weeks ago about leaders are innovators. There's always innovation out there. There's always something that could maybe it's in the language of something we wrote, we rewrite it real quick. Excuse me, got the hiccups here. Or it's maybe there is something industrial speaking. We like I talked about back then, talking about adding in leaders or learners was the machine example. Someone, they needed to put down this safety mat. So it made it more comfortable for the workers. They could stand for a longer time. It also took down on injuries and things like that. And somebody finally showed up with a tape measure. Said, hey, move it 6 inches. The mat fits. Well, we can't do that. It's too close to the wall. No, it's not. I measured it for regulations. We have plenty of room. Look. No one looked. And this was something that now all these leaders had to sit back and go, well, we got to learn from this guy. That wasn't he was trying to take anybody's position. He was just trying to make a better workplace for everyone. He didn't want to be a manager. And so when we look at those around us who are willing to learn or willing to invest in themselves and invest in others through this learning process, look at the improvement that we have. I mean, they're like coming back to the entertainment scene. They went from, yes, we're karaoke. Now look at how we're greeting people. Now we're looking at implementing dance. It sounds like they've implemented comedy. It's not, hey, karaoke, show up, which I've been around a lot of that. And it can be fun, but you start adding in these other elements because of what they've learned from other people, because they have this willingness to learn. And you look at now, I look at some of these, different self-help books I've read and personal development books and business development books and just in general books, how much more intriguing my conversation becomes since I've been so much more open to learning about new things. So you want to talk about maximizing potential? Open yourself up to a whole new world of learning. Be a listener, be that leader, be that person that allows for open conversation and open dialogue where we can learn. Because here's the biggie. I talked about setting the example earlier. As learners in leadership, leaders are learners. Other people want to learn from you. They'll want to get your knowledge. They'll want to gain your knowledge. You'll up-level rooms that you walk into. Or another way of thinking about it is raising the temperature. You're either going to fall to the temperature that is the room, stay at the temperature the room is at, or you're going to raise it. Let's raise the temperature of the room by knowing that since there's things we've been learning, things that we can teach, things that we can set the example of. When people see us learning and willing to learn, more and more people are going to want to do that with you. That's a part of the massive impact I talk about in the 3 I's of great leadership: influence, impact, and inspiration. Create that impact for people. Have that positive influence. They'll be inspired to do the same thing. And sometimes it may give you a direct reward or result. Other times it may be indirect. It doesn't matter. The more you can learn and grow, the more everything around you is going to grow. You get to decide if it's negative or positive. If you decide to stop learning, there's going to be growth. The wrong way, negative way. Whereas instead, we can be learning and growing from one another and from all these different tools and books and resources that are out there. And don't let things limit you. When it comes to learning, I think back to when I first went back to college. The internet was barely a thing. You could research some stuff. Now we've got, cell phones that aren't cell phones anymore. They're miniature computers. I don't have to go to a library to Google something or look it up or whatever it was we were using back then. I don't have to go to the index system, using the Dewey Decimal System at the library to go find a book. Or I had an encyclopedia set in high school in my house. You don't have to do that anymore. Go to YouTube, look things up. And then as you want to learn more, as your business grows, as things scale, now you start hiring your coaches, you start paying for different programs, things like that. You're already at that point. Then don't stop learning. Don't stop growing. I mean, Jim just provided a great example to you all for why continually learning and being open to learn is so important. So, Jim, how do we encourage people to learn more, to learn about their craft or maybe some other crafts. Maybe there's some other things that they've been interested in. They're just not quite sure where to start. How do we encourage a continual learning process throughout life? How do you do it? How do you keep learning?
Well, one thing is, first off, you have to ask for permission to give advice if you don't know the person. I think don't just assume they want your advice. And so when it's welcome, I think you should pay attention when they implement it. Make it into a positive. Hey, I know it didn't quite work, but what did you learn from it? Hey, it's exciting that you learned that. Or hey, if it was a result, there was a result, just say, hey, I'm glad it worked for you. You know, and everything's either a blessing or a lesson, right? And
Yes.
so the whole thing is that make sure you acknowledge it when people are implementing something that you personally recommended. And I think that's the best way to acknowledge progress, make sure things are forward motion and positive, even if the results are not as anticipated or technically the things didn't get better. Think about what they can learn and then highlight the things that make sense, either the learning that they've achieved or the end result. Because everyone loves to see that they implemented something that there's some level of progress, whether it be, again, a lesson learned or a physical result.
Yeah, I love that because the big thing is and what I took from that is one being open. Just be open. Be open to learning. And Jim said, blessing or lesson. Blessing or lesson. There we go. I'll say it right somehow.
Blessing or lesson.
Yeah. Make it fun. I think that's the biggest thing when I went back to school. I've been almost a decade since I've been in formal education, outside of getting my EMT and, of course, the firefighter stuff that I was doing. Was now I was stepping into a whole new world. And when I got there, the professors that I had, the teachers I had, and some of the students I was around, we made it fun. We also got together with like-minded people who wanted to continually raise the temperature in the room. And when you get with core groups of people who want to do that, learning is it becomes secondary almost. Now it's just a habit for me. Like I said, the open conversations that I've had with people, we didn't have to go super philosophical into anything, but just the fact that we were willing, and the fact that we had fun with it. We could joke around with each other. We could make light of some difficult situations or things that need to be talked about. And the big thing is when you learn, what are you doing to apply it? What are you taking from it? How are you helping other people with it? How are you helping yourself? If you help yourself, you can help others even more.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How are you taking these very things that can make the world a better place? That's my encouragement to everybody when we talk about learning. If you had a hard lesson, or maybe it was an easy lesson, that's the first thing I ask. It's not the mistake, it's the recovery. What did you learn, and how are you going to apply it? Because there's always going to be mistakes. There's always going to be, until Jesus comes back, there's always going to be troubles in the world. There's always going to be mistakes. There's always going to be bad things that happen, unfortunately. We know that. And sometimes we're going to be a part of it. What did you learn from it? How are you going to apply it? And how are you going to move forward? You got to learn. And if it's having to go back and re-looking up an old lesson or a book or notes you had to remember what you learned, do it. If you need to get a hold of somebody like Jim, like myself, to say, hey, I'm struggling in this. I'm not seeing what the lesson is, or can you help me learn how to do this? And the answer will be a resounding yes. I'll guarantee you be honored. I love training. I love teaching. I love learning. Whether that's learning with somebody or learning from somebody, doesn't matter to me. But having fun with it, making it a passion and a compassion project. We talked about leaders who are passionate, leaders who are compassionate. They're compassionate and passionate about learning, not only for themselves, but for others as well, and with others as well. And that's something I can say I have enjoyed over and over and over again. Jim and I have known each other for we've known each other for a year. Jim, it's almost been a year since we met in person in Vegas. I've learned so much from him. He's given me some credit as well. He's learned things from me. And so to be able to put these things together that we all can work on as well allows everybody to learn. But you got to be open to it. You got to find some ways to make it fun or make it lighthearted. And if it is a deep subject, okay, let's get through it. Let's learn from it and use it later on in life. being open, being understanding that things are going to change. You're going to add things. People are going to offer suggestions, being open to those suggestions, making sure other people, before we just start spouting things off, are open to it, can be a lesson learned as well. And so as we begin to close out, let's see if Jim tries to hop back on and get his closing thoughts. Oh, there he is. Jim, you there? Yes, no, maybe so. Well, there's pictures up there. As I begin to close out and give closing thoughts here, I really do. I really, but there he is. I really believe we should be learning constantly, every chance we get, whether it's diving into books, whether it's just stopping and listening to the sounds of nature and asking God, what do you want me to learn from this? Good, bad, right, wrong, indifferent, positive, negative, it doesn't matter. Learn from it and use it. If it's something positive, get out there and start encouraging people. If something that was kind of negative, get out there and encourage people and encourage yourself. It's that simple. Jim, your final and closing thoughts, and how do we get a hold of you tonight?
Yeah, just I didn't quite catch the whole end, but I'm able to log out, come back in, because I know through experience I've learned what I needed to do to get back with us, right? The whole process of learning, really great. We can apply this to understanding people, learning about things, learning about a lot of things. So very appropriate. Always love the content here, as you know. And so anyway, I'm Jim T. Chong. I'm a forever learner, and I love to help people just integrate things together. I'm a professional media PR publicist, so I help people be seen, visible, and show up the way they want to show up with a brand, preferably. But you can reach me at jimtchong.com, and that shows you my digital face card. And just wanted to mention, Chris, I always appreciate the time put into this show, because I always learn so much personally from this. I am learning. I even learned what color shirt to wear today.
Thanks, Jim, as always. And that is the fun part of, I think, life is learning. I really do. I think learning from life is such, it has such value to how we can make things better on this planet and support one another and grow together. You look at some of the most successful people out there. They were always willing to learn. They were always willing to listen. They're always willing to do more so they could serve more. I'm not just talking about success and money. There have been very profound thought leaders out there and things like that they weren't necessarily very wealthy from a financial standpoint. They were very wealthy in their impact and influence and inspiration on other people. And I think that holds tremendous value. And that all came from a willingness to learn more about themselves, learn more about the people around them, learn more about the world and how it works and the different things that we can be doing. And that's why I could talk about this forever and ever and ever as leaders or learners, because we've got to keep learning. We've got to. I'm Chris Tice. I own and co-founded Eagle Fire Enrichment, your leadership solutions company, where we talk all things leadership. And I love these topics. You find yourself struggling in your leadership, you can reach out to me, Chris at eaglefireenrichment.com, or you go to my website, eaglefireenrichment.com, just drop off the Chris app part, and you can find me there. And next week, it'll be Jim and I, and we'll be here to talk about leaders or readers, which is really going to stem a lot from today's topic. However, there will be just a little bit of twist, because it's not just about reading as in reading a book or reading stop on a stop sign, which can be very important if you're driving a car. So until next week, have your best day ever by making every day great. Remember, can't never did. God bless us all. We'll see you next time.